Hello my dear friends, I am Prashant Mauni and I warmly welcome all of you to StudyIQ. I hope you all are doing good. Dear friends, let's see what we have got in today's PIB. But before that, I would like to inform all of you that recently we have added the test series of SSC CGL plus CHSL and UPSC optional subjects and GPSC and many more things are now covered by our pen drive and tablet courses. So make sure you check them out on our website. With this, dear friends, identify the person who is standing with Narendra Modi ji and do pass me his name as well as his country too. With this, the first item that we have is pertaining to Vice President's office, and Vice President during addressing this All India Telugu Association event in Chennai has talked about untouchability. He said that untouchability is the real enemy of humanity. It is very sad that we have succeeded in, of course it is a good thing that we have succeeded in eliminating polio from our country, but it is very sad that even today, right, we have a constitution, we have all the things that are clearly given in our constitution, but then as well we see untouchability is practiced in many pockets of our country, and this is of course the biggest enemy of humanity. You cannot, right, you cannot practice or do this sort of things, particularly in a country like India. And now we know, today we know it very well, that this caste system and everything, right, it was designed for and basically it was, when it originated, it was about division of work, but later on there were few people, powerful sections of society who changed the rules and regulations, and they kept things in their favor, and it was against all those people who were doing some sort of manual work, and for a very long period of time, particularly Dalits, right, they have been you can say facing this sort of discrimination in our society. So it is not only the government, right, it is the society that has to change its mindset. Only then we would be able to get rid of this sort of enemies of humanity. With this, dear friends, he also talked about helping the poor is real patriotism. Now when we say poor, it's not only about the people who are not having money. If you ask me, then the biggest form of poverty that I see, or what I think is, you can have your own views. If you have something to say on this thing, then I would love to hear from you as well. I think the biggest form of poverty is lack of education. When I say education, I of course don't mean that you should have masters and postgraduate degrees. Education basically means that how open your mind is. If your mind is, or if your thinking process is narrow, and at the same time if you cannot read, write, right, then this is the biggest form of poverty. That's what I believe. So helping poor is real patriotism. If we can make a positive change in our society by providing education or by helping someone, right, in whatever ways we can, then this is an act of patriotism. With this, dear friends, he has talked about two important personalities. Basically, the country is celebrating 258th birth anniversary of Veer Pandya Kattabomman. Now, Veer Pandya Kattabomman, if you are not from Tamil Nadu, then I believe most of us want to be aware about who Veer Pandya was, but luckily today we have covered it, and many a times you find this sort of questions as MCQ, right, and at that point of time we think that UPSC or competitive exams, you find questions they are asked from anywhere. No, the thing is that the things that do become part of, particularly for national level exams like UPSC, the things that are discussed at national level, right, then there are high chances that they can ask you, and it's not always that they will ask you about famous things. Now everyone knows we have internet and everything, so it's very easy for us to know about what's going on with triple talaq and other things. Of course it is when they ask you a question on this sort of items, triple talaq and other Aadhaar cards, say for example, then it would be more analytical, but they may ask you question, GK question, right, to see that whether you are having a good, are you well aware about the things that are going on around. So this sort of things as well can be asked. So here is the picture of Veer Pandya. And I believe that once you observe this picture, then it would be very easy for you to remember, even if a question is asked on you asked to you regarding this Veer Pandya. So please do pay attention to the picture as well, the image that you can see on your screen. So basically, Veer Pandya, he took part in early freedom struggle against British, right? He fought very courageously in 18th century, and he is considered as a sort of model for valiant resistance as well as indomitable courage. With this, dear friends, Vice President also talked about Saint Composer Thyagaraja, right? He is considered as the pioneer of Carnatic music, and you know it very well. I'm sure that in North we have Guru Nanak, we have Kabir, and we have many other saints who have played a very important role, right? Either with the help of their music or literature or poetry, they have provided solace, as well as they have helped in integrating our society. And this is one of the most important role played by these saints of our country. So Thyagaraja is a very important saint in this term. So please keep this thing in mind as well. Apart from that, he has talked about unity in diversity, and this term is commonly used and said by many our top leaders, and you might be thinking that why they keep on saying this thing. We have clearly, if we go through our constitution and if we understand our constitution, then we find that it is given over there. So this is clearly stated. But the thing that we miss most of the time is that if we go back in the history of our country, then in the times of Ashok, in the times of Akbar, and there are many other kings as well, right? The list is very long when we talk about our country. The list is very long. We had many important kings, and when we say king, I'm not talking about one particular person. I'm talking about the administration or the government, right? We should look it with this perspective. So the many different governments under this different kings, they used to be secular, and when I say secular, basically many kings they used to follow, say for example, Hinduism. They used to be devotee of Lord Shiva, but at the same time they have promoted Buddhism and Jainism at that point of time. So this is something that is in the gene of our country, and we have always celebrated our multilingualism as well as the variety of culture that we have in our country. With this, dear friends, the Ministry of Defense has good news for us. Agni 5 is in news again. Agni 5 is a long-range surface-to-surface missile. For the 5th time we have tried it, and the mission has been successful. It can go, or it can cover, or it can hit a target 5,000 kilometers away. It can carry nuclear warhead up to 1 ton. And here are some more specific details about this Agni 5. You see, we have Agni 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This Agni 5 is a 3-stage solid. That means the fuel that is used in Agni 5 is a solid fuel. The other thing is that it is intercontinental surface-to-surface nuclear-capable ballistic missile. It is developed by DRDO, and it is indigenously built, and we are part of elite, you can say very elite group of countries who possess this ICBM. You have USA, Russia, UK, France, China, and I would also like to add North Korea, because there are many sanctions going on North Korea. That could be one of the reasons why newspapers and this media, they don't take NK into consideration. But of course we know that it has achieved this ICBM, which is a bit dangerous as well. With this, dear friends, Union Information and Broadcasting Ministry has news for us, and Smriti Irani, who is the minister, she talked about creativity during her interaction with this Think and Do conclave in Chennai. Basically, she talked about that. She said that there are few people or creative people who create things to integrate society, and there are some people who create things to basically create a sort of disruption in society, or many times they do this sort of marketing stunts as well. Now we have a Padmavati issue going on in our country, so this is a very brief item here that I would like to basically you can get your views regarding this sort of things that are going on in our country. With this important news coming from ECI, Election Commission of India. And the thing is that Tripura, Meghalaya and Nagaland, 3 northeastern states of our country, they are going to have assembly elections. Recently we talked about Gujarat assembly election, and we also talked about Himachal Pradesh assembly election. So we have talked about how election commission works and things like that, so I'm not going into those details. If you are new to this PIB analysis, then I would reckon go back to our videos. Right, we have talked about how election commission of India works. We have also talked about the appointment and removal and the powers and other things, the loopholes and whatever, right, all the things that are associated with elections in our country. And we have talked about conducting election at the same time, national level as well as state level elections in one go. We have talked about all these things, so make sure that whenever you find time, do go through our previous discussion. If you don't have that much time, then I would reckon that be a bit patient in future. Whenever we find this sort of topics, then of course we will add on things. At that point of time you would be able to cover this sort of things. But I would reckon that you should take out some time and go through some of our past videos if you have just recently started following this PIB analysis lectures. With this, dear friends, Mr. Jyoti, who is election commissioner, chief election commissioner, he has said that EVMs with VVPATs will be used in all these 3 states. With this, Benjamin Netanyahu, who is Prime Minister of Israel, he is in India. We know that he's here for 6 days now as we are speaking, right? His visit to India is in the last phase, and he had his interaction with the top business leaders of our country. He met them in Mumbai, and at that point of time he talked about this thing called future and innovation. He said that the future belongs to those who innovate. It's not only about business, but it is also about countries. And I would say that this is a very good essay topic. You should think about it, like how or why future belongs to those who innovate. Do you have some examples in front of you regarding some companies who used to be innovators and they used to lead the market, but at present they are fading away? I have one hint for you, and I would reckon you guys to think about it, right? You would find many this sort of examples. I'll give you one example of BlackBerry, right? BlackBerry, at one point of time, it was a very famous company for producing mobile and operating system and things like that. But at present, you know that it is Android and Apple or iOS. These are the things that are ruling the market. So why a company like BlackBerry that used to be on the top of the game, it's not able to perform that well? Because many times, or one of the main reason is lack of innovation. So this is one example. There are many examples out there, and rather than bookish example, I would reckon you to observe something. Try to find out, try to observe something that is going on around you. With this, he also talked about 2611. It is very sad that this sort of incidents do take place here and there, and 2611 is a thing that has connected India and Israel, because Nariman House was attacked, and over there you might have heard about this little boy called Moshe. Moshe's parents were killed, and he was luckily saved by an Indian nanny. And Moshe is a very important, you can say, a sort of a chain that is connecting, or a thread that is connecting India and Israel together. Prime Minister Netanyahu was accompanied by Moshe when he visited this Nariman House. And he also talked about this India and Israel's partnership. He said that this partnership is made in heaven, and he also talked about the shared values of love for humanity, democracy and freedom that both the countries have in common. Finance Minister briefed us about this goods and services tax council meeting, and basically this GST council has decided to cut down rates on 29 products as well as 53 services, and this will be effective from 25th of this month, 25th January. Now the thing is that you don't have to remember the names of different goods and services on which you see this cut down, but for you guys it is important to think about what would be its impact or ripple effect. And now the first thing is that when the government has reduced the tax rate, so naturally the revenue of government will see a dip, or it will come down. But the other thing is that when we apply this demand and supply rule, then we find that when the prices of the things are slashed, then we see the demand goes a bit up. So in this way, sales of these products and services in volumes can cover this gap, whatever gap the government will find after this reduction of tax. So this is a thing that can take place. We have to wait and watch to see the final result. He has also talked about simplifying the return filing process by merging all three types of GST returns into a single return, and Mr. Nandan Nilakhani gave a detailed presentation on this thing. Apart from that, he also talked about or he said that basically the council has reaffirmed the implementation of e-way bill system from the 1st of next month, and he also talked about this petroleum products, bringing them under the purview of this GST. The matter will be taken up in the next meeting. Now, talking about petroleum products, I have a sort of focus topic for you guys here very quickly. See, oil import bills are going up, right? At present, we are third largest oil consumer. So we are not only giving away lots and lots of hardly earned dollar, but at the same time, we are contributing in climate change as well, isn't it? We are one of the biggest polluter in the world. Anyways, the thing is that, dear friends, many people will not be happy about this price rise, and they would of course expect the government to slash down some tax on this thing, so that the petrol and diesel price, because at present the oil prices in international market has gone up a little bit, and this is one of the main reason why import bills are going, apart from our consumption going on, the other thing is that the prices have gone up as well. So people will expect government to slash or to cut down taxes, but this is something that we should not do, the government should not do, because the people who are feeling this pinch because of this oil getting expensive, they should use more public transport. The other thing is that subsidies, right? Government should not take into consideration subsidies. Basically, we should not regulate this. At present, it is deregulated. That means it will go up and down based on the market price. The government should not provide any sort of subsidy, because many research that are conducted on this thing has indicated that when you provide some sort of subsidies, then people take it for granted, and this will add more carbon in the air, right? When the diesel is a bit expensive, then people will buy more diesel cars and they would be burning more diesel, and this eventually is going to be harmful for all of us, because the impact, the climate change impact, is more severe, right? Rather than that, we should use this tax or whatever extra money the government is going to earn out of this tax on oil and fuel. It should be invested in public transport as well as research and other things, or creating infrastructure or whatever things are needed or required for electric vehicles. Government should diversify some sort of money in this area as well. The other thing is that if we have to clamp this rampant power theft that is going on, which is creating huge losses for discoms, and if discoms are facing losses, then electricity penetration will not be there. The discoms won't be able to expand their reach, and this will keep many villages out of this energy coverage. So this is again going to add, then people will have to rely on more fuel, isn't it? Kerosene or other sort of fuel, wood and other things. This will harm our environment too. With this, dear friends, last bit about this thing is that one thing that can help us to sort this problem out is that we have to open our retail oil market, right? We should allow private players to take part in this retail oil market. What happens in mature markets or abroad is that independent oil retailers, right, they account for about half the retail offtake, and a similar market design in India would bring prices down via greater competition, lower margins and markups. With this, dear friends, I have three questions for you here. The first one is that what was the previous name of Abdul Kalam Island? The second one is that Abdul Kalam Island shares its border with waters of Arabian Sea. Whether it is true or false, justify. And the third one is that with announcement of polling dates in 3 northeastern states of India, application of DAS has taken place now. With this, don't forget to check out StudyIQ.com. you can follow me, and if you follow me on my Facebook page Prashanti Mamani, then you will get all the updates associated with me. I do share things on this on my Facebook page. This is a very good medium for it is a sort of bridge that will connect you and I, and you'll be able to download this PDF file from my Facebook page as well as our Telegram channel. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You can encourage me by giving likes to this video. You can pass your valuable comments, as well as you can give likes to my Facebook page as well. And enjoy your studies, and I will see you all soon. Jai Hind.